Inside the stories that affect you. This is Inside KELOLAND.
Good evening, I'm Don Jorgensen. Thanks for joining us. It is the news that continues to stay in the headlines this summer. Widespread flooding in KELOLAND. We first started seeing the downpouring rain in mid-June with water covering streets and interstates, forcing crews to close off major roadways. Rivers rose above their banks as crews and homeowners sandbagged as fast as they could. Dozens of people across South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa have also spent the past few weeks drying out flooded basements. This is also another blow to farmers who need some sunshine and warm weather to get rid of the ponds that are forming in their fields. One of the hardest hit places was Lyon County, Iowa, where not only are people still recovering from flooding, but also a train crash that spilled oil into the floodwaters. Officials estimate up to 230,000 gallons escaped, with some making its way into a pair of nearby rivers. And since then, workers have been busy cleaning up that area. KELOLAND's Kelly Volk traveled to Dune to find out what's ahead in the recovery process.
The pace in this small Iowa town is slowing down these days. But that wasn't the case on June 22nd, when a train carrying oil derailed near the community. Mayor Tim Mantell got the call that Friday morning at work.
And I started getting phone calls and phone calls and phone calls, and that day was just crazy.
People jumped into action to help.
It was really nice to see everybody realize we had a major disaster here. And instead of everybody getting mad and screaming, how did this happen? It was amazing how everybody just said, okay, we have a problem here. What do we need to get it fixed?
The following days included a big cleanup effort, one that continues today. BNSF is also in talks with farmers affected by the derailment. When some of the oil washed away with floodwater, it went through cornfields, sticking to stalks and leaves.
We've been working with the farmers, advising them not to go out into their fields, to not drive through their fields to investigate. Call us, let us and the EPA and state officials go out and inspect the fields.
Steve Abma is a Sioux County farmer. He lives about 2 miles southwest of the spill site. So far, he doesn't think his fields have been affected by the oil, but he has yet to get it checked out.
I don't think it's going to be very severe for my part.
But for farmers who did take a hit from oil,
Obviously, they're not going to harvest those crops, and we wouldn't want them to, so they will be reimbursed.
So what lies farther down the road for the people of Dune? Expect a BNSF presence in the area for at least a year.
We wish we could say this is going to be a 3-week process or a 2-month process. Fact of the matter, we're not sure. We're going to be here as long as we need to be here.
The investigation into the incident will also continue.
The cause of the accident hasn't been determined yet. It's easy to assume that it was flood related, and that may be very well what caused it, but we're not going to make an assumption at this point.
And it could provide a learning opportunity for those who responded to the scene.
I'm sure we'll sit down again and just say, okay, what went right? And this time a lot did go right, but what can we improve on for the next time? Because I hope it never happens again. But I've been in this business long enough to something will again happen.
For now, Mayor Mantell is just happy with how people in the area stepped up.
Our community pulled together like we have all the time, and I'm very proud to be the mayor of Dune.
With On KELOLAND, I'm Kelly Volk.
More than 130,000 gallons of oil and water mix has been recovered so far. Nearly 8,000 feet of containment booms are also being used to catch any oil that has left the derailment area. The tracks are open again to trains. Joining us now is Arden Kopishki, the Emergency Management Coordinator for Lyon County, Iowa. Thanks for being here. How were you alerted to this disaster, and what was your first reaction?
Well, when the call came into the 911 dispatch and with the train derailment, that's an automatic page out for myself. So I was waking in the early hours of the morning to head to the train derailment and get my stuff out there to start organizing the response, the emergency response for it. As I got close to the scene, we could smell the crude oil, so that there started to open my eyes to what could actually be there. And there were some deputies there ahead of me, and they radioed back that we have an extensive spill of crude oil, and it was pretty overwhelming to see first on the scene.
What time of day was this?
Was paged out about 4:30 in the morning.
So you really couldn't see anything until you got there?
Until we got there, yep. I did have some notifications from the railroad what was on the train, so I did know en route that it was crude oil that had spilled.
And we hear so much about the community response. What did the community do?
Well, we had to, of course, notify everybody that we had to evacuate some of the people. So the fire departments, the Dune Fire, Dune EMS Rescue Squad had to be notified, along with the Sheriff's Department, with Lyon and Sioux County, that we might possibly have to evacuate the town of Dune. The ones close by had to be evacuated, and the possibility of more being evacuated. So everybody was stepping up to get things in place to start moving people if we had to, and find places for them if we had to go. Besides getting the roads blocked off also, because we did not want anybody else in there until we could evaluate what was really going to be done here and what's happened.
A real inconvenience, but a necessary one.
Correct.
For everyone. So what's the situation like now there?
Well, now that they've got the trains running again, a large amount of the people have left because there was crews cleaning up, and there was crews that were trying to get the rail back going, get the trains going. Since the train's been going, those people are gone. Now it's mostly cleanup. The train cars that were involved and wrecked, they have to clean those up also before they can be disposed of, and then there's an ongoing investigation yet once everything's cleaned up and put off to the side so they can determine what caused that accident.
What do you think the long-term impact's going to be to that area?
Well, it's definitely, they're going to have a presence there for at least a year. There's oil that got spilled on crops and around farm ground. I don't know exactly what they do to get that cleaned up, but I do know that it's going to take some time. Every time it rains, it floods some more. That hinders their cleanup because they just need it to be dry so they can get to a lot of these areas.
Do the mitigation work, that whatever they do to get that area
right
back open again.
And again, it's hard because everything's muddy yet. It just doesn't dry up.
I was going to ask you, the weather's been complicating things.
Definitely, you know, we're watching the rivers, we're watching everything. Comes down, they're still next to a river. They're prone to flooding right in that area, so it's always a hindrance.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We're going to continue our conversation with Lyon County's emergency manager, as well as hear from the emergency manager from Turner County to see what's next in their recovery process and how long it's going to take. Welcome back. The latest flooding to hit KELOLAND was right before the 4th of July holiday in southwest Minnesota. Some areas saw 6 to 8 inches of rain from Monday night into Tuesday morning. KELOLAND's Sarah McDonald shows us just how bad it got.
Water covering roads and yards is not an uncommon sight in the small town of Curry, Minnesota. Sheila Skindelin has lived in town for over 10 years.
It was just kind of a slow process of the water building up in the back, and then all of a sudden it started getting bigger and bigger, and it just kind of whoosh into the basement, and it's a total disaster.
All the rain and flooding is taking a toll on emotions.
This is our 3rd time now in less than a week that this happened. We've lost everything that we had down there, a lot of memories, and it's just hard.
Several other people in town are also seeing water in their yards. This road behind me is even closed because there is water passing over the road.
I know it's over 5.5 inches because my rain gauge says 5.5, and it was flowing over.
Over in Slayton, Minnesota, it's a similar sight.
I grew up here in Slayton. I was gone for a few years. I've been back here at this location for 31 years, and it's the most water we've ever had in this parking lot, and it's the most water we've had accumulated in this short a time.
For now, all they can do is wait for the water to go down. But there is one thing both residents can agree on.
About 2 months of sunshine with no rain. That would be fantastic.
No more rain. I need some sun. Massive sun.
Both residents in Slayton and Curry say that they've never had to deal with this much water before in their towns. Joining us again are Arden Kopishki, the Emergency Management Coordinator for Lyon County, Iowa, as well as Brad Georgeson, the Emergency Management Coordinator from Turner County. Thank you both for being here. Arden, back to you. The Rock River up there up north, lots of flooding that comes down your way, how has it impacted your area?
Well, anytime that they have a lot of rain, a lot of flooding up in Rock County in Minnesota, we end up with that water too. So we always have to watch that. This year, everything's so saturated that it doesn't take much for the Rock River to come out of its banks. It's been basically minor flooding the entire week, and with different crests that have come and gone that have done some major flooding. So it makes us really nervous when the rain comes, because we don't know how much we're going to get and how quickly that one can rise to affect us. It's at flood stage now, minor flood stage, so it doesn't take much to make it worse.
I was just going to ask you, what would happen if we got, what would it take? 3 inches, 4 inches now?
It all depends on where it lands, but if it lands right on us or to the north of us, we're going to take it, and it's going to raise our rivers. We have places sandbagged. The low-lying areas are sandbagged. The window wells of houses that could be affected, we're telling them just to leave them there. This isn't over with yet. We want to just stay safe, and if we don't use them, great, but at least they're in place, and keep them there in place until it does start to dry up some.
I want to bring in Brad Georgeson here, the Turner County Emergency Manager. Talk about Turner County. How is it sitting right now as far as water?
Right now, as far as water goes, we are going down, luckily. It's been going down. It's been staying down. That's a good thing. Keep it moving along to down to the south there. Unfortunately, somebody's going to end up with it, but we're starting to recede. Have you been out in the county just to assess some of the damage, and where is the most damage? Most of the damage that we have currently, or did have, that's focused, is in the Davis and Centerville areas. Yeah, but due to the following rain that came, the next week after the first round, there's several townships and several areas out in the west part of the county that got hit as well too. So our damage goes top to bottom, side to side. Are roads still closed? There are currently no roads closed that I know of as far as paved surfaces, state or county, at this time, but there are township roads that have the high potential of being closed yet because of washout from gravel. How about you, Arden?
Yeah, we have a lot of rural roads that are in need of repair. Several of them are closed. They need to be taken care of, and it might be added gravel or just shoulders. They have shoulders wash out, but we have quite a few rural roads that are in need of repair. But none that are closed completely.
Mm-hmm. What's your advice, both of you, to drivers in those areas? Do you try to find alternate routes? What?
Always, if there's a road closed sign, it's there for a reason. Something is wrong with that road, whether it's partially washed out or your sides are washed out. They put them up for a reason, and best advice is find an alternate route. I know it's inconvenient, but at least you're safe and you're not going to have any problems if you take a different route.
How about you, Brad?
I couldn't agree more. Pay attention to the signs. There's sometimes a sign, sometimes there's a flag. We ran out of road barriers, the highway department did in Turner County, for trying to block off flooded roads, and townships wanted to borrow some of those. They were unable to because we were out completely and we still had roads under. So several of them used up their road closed signs, and sometimes you'll see an orange flag jammed in the middle of the driving lane. And just heed by that road is flagged for a reason. It could be closed or it could be very slow mile-per-hour passage.
When we get several inches of rain like we had gotten, how do you keep people from panicking in those types of situations? Because sometimes they probably feel like, some people feel like they're trapped because they've got water on their north side, they got water on their south side, there might not be any way out. Were there any rescues?
We didn't have any in Turner County. We did have requests for sandbags, and some residents did come and fill sandbags at the county highway shop. It got to the point where not only did the highway shop have to do their routine business, but they also had some of the workers out running around dropping barriers here and picking them up from other areas that had receded to drop them at another spot. So unfortunately, we weren't able to haul sand out to get to the residents, but several did take up the offer of coming to the highway shop to fill their own bags and take them to their private properties.
How do you go about recovering from the flooding that we've had over a month period?
Well, it's just going through and seeing if there's anything that you could change to make it so it doesn't happen next time for you. I know those in low-lying areas have probably been dealing with it for a long time. Different times, it just seems this year it's different. A lot of people are saying this has never happened to me before, and it's just different. And I think it's just because it's more widespread and it's really saturated ground. So it's a tough year for more people than just the people living alongside the waterways and rivers.
You both have been in contact with FEMA. Is that an option to help recover?
At this time, FEMA is not involved. We start with a state declaration, and we get public assistance from the state, and at that point we start evaluating how much dollars is involved, and if it goes above a threshold, and then they will need a presidential declaration in order to get FEMA to assist.
Brad?
South Dakota works very much the same way. We do everything at the local level, then we jump to the state level. From the state level, if there is enough to meet the threshold of not only our area of Turner County adds into this, but other counties that are affected as well, it will go on from the state to presidential declaration, possibly.
Any dollar estimates at this point from either one of you?
They're still trying to figure them out yet. So we don't have a figure. We're putting them together, assessing everything, but some of these we don't have yet because the water still hasn't gone down.
We're at the same point in Turner County as well. Several townships I've been in contact with. They've been going out and doing their pictures, their measurements, trying to figure out how much they have for gravel washout and gravel loss, and that adds up as part of it as well. The highway department also has been doing some repairs that are deemed very necessary for heavier traveled roads. But they do have some assessments that they have to come up with as well for damage to add into the threshold for Turner County alone.
All right, I want to thank you both for being on Inside KELOLAND. Thank you. Well, we have been talking about a lot of the areas that were inundated with rain. Some parts of South Dakota haven't seen rain in months. Take a look at this. This is the latest drought monitor from the National Drought Mitigation Center. And as you can see, parts of Brown, Spink, Clark, Day, Falk, and Edmonds counties are in a severe drought. It's even abnormally dry all the way south into Davison and Aurora counties. Well, coming up after the break, while the eastern half of South Dakota is dealing with flooding, the western half is cleaning up from tornadoes and hail. We're going to show you the damage from the past week. Coming up next. Welcome back. Flooding isn't the only natural disaster people have been dealing with in KELOLAND. Residents in Piedmont Valley had to replace windows, fix roofs, and patch siding following a hailstorm last weekend. Jack's Campers in Piedmont also suffered extensive damage. Crews spent the week replacing vents, skylights, and light lenses on campers. But people were ready to respond once the storm was past.
Yeah, fortunately I had enough supplies laying around that I immediately started boarding everything up. And then I taped everything off on the inside.
The eastern foothills of the Black Hills are especially vulnerable to hail. The rising terrain forces moisture up to colder altitudes where it freezes and then falls as hail. The western half of the state was also hit with tornadoes while the eastern half was dealing with flooding. On June 29th, a tornado cut a path through the northwestern Black Hills from Wyoming into South Dakota. KELOLAND's Al Van Zee surveyed the damage.
Today, National Weather Service meteorologists took a look at the damage and say an EF1 tornado with winds reaching up to 105 miles per hour was to blame. It first touched down southeast of Sundance and cut a path past Cement Ridge, over Schoolhouse Gulch Road, and ended just east of Spearfish Canyon. Altogether, the tornado cut a path 19 miles long, leaving many roads blocked by trees. The Forest Service says most of the main roads in the northwestern Black Hills are now back open. What remains to be opened yet are the hiking trails and some of the backcountry logging trails.
They'll be working for the rest of this week, trying to make headway on clearing those trails.
Volunteer firefighters and Forest Service cutting crews can be thanked for opening the roads in just a couple of days. The tornado left behind a twisted mass of broken limbs and tangled brush. Trees were snapped off and some were torn from the ground. From the roads, the extent of the damage is apparent enough, but much of the backcountry has yet to be assessed.
What really remains to be done is determine the extent of the impact that we had on the National Forest.
The Forest Service is planning aerial photography flights toward the end of the week, and more work will have to be done on foot. One thing the Forest Service wants to determine is how much of the fallen timber can be salvaged.
We will be assessing opportunities to recover the value from some of the down timber. We had foresters out yesterday assessing what that potential is.
Steve Kozel says foresters and loggers will have about 4 weeks before the wood begins to deteriorate. In the northwestern Black Hills, Al Van Zee, KELOLAND News.
No one was hurt by the tornado. Thankfully, this tornado caused very little damage to any buildings in the forests. Well, dozens of our viewers have sent in all kinds of pictures of the flooded roads, hail, and tornado damage in their areas. If you have pictures of flooding or storm damage in your area, we'd like to see them. Just send them to ushare@keloland.com. Still to come on Inside KELOLAND, we're going to be talking with our Chief Meteorologist, Jay Trobeck, about why the region is seeing so much rain and if we should expect more bad weather throughout the summer. Welcome back. I am joining Chief Meteorologist Jay Trobeck at the Storm Center. And Jay, we have been talking about all the bad weather that we've seen the past few weeks. We've had tornadoes, we've had hail, we've had flooding here in the eastern part of the state. How much rain have we had in the last few weeks? Any idea?
Well, pretty much everybody, Don, throughout KELOLAND is above normal as far as the amount of rain we've gotten. And that's produced some humidity in the air as we felt the past week or so. Take a look at some of these numbers. I know it might be a little difficult to map, but what that is telling you how much above normal we are for rainfall. 100% would be normal rainfall. 200% and above would be twice as much rainfall as normal, and 300 would be 3 times as much rainfall as normal over the past 30 days. So this is the last month. You see everybody well above normal. Note a couple other things. Yankton has received 3 times as much rainfall as normal. So has Turner County. You were talking about Turner County before and some of the problems over there. Southwest Minnesota has been slogged with rain. In fact, 23 counties in Minnesota are under a state of emergency due to excess water. And even Sioux Falls, it says 245% of normal. We are 4 3/4 inches above normal for precipitation through the first half of the year. So everybody's gotten a lot of rain. Now, we always talk about, the bad side of it, and we have been talking about the bad side of it. And here's the map you showed before the drought monitor. I just wanted to point out that the area of severe drought has shrunk a lot in the past week. And the southern part of Beadle County, moderate drought, that area too has shrunk in the past week. So there's a couple of good things going on. First of all, we're shrinking the drought. The second thing is, I must say that those places that have gotten too much rain, where we've had the flash flooding, our forecast is mainly going to be dry through the first half of July. It looks like this big ridge is building, and what that is basically saying that the jet stream is getting pushed up into Canada, and the jet stream produces the energy for big rains to form. And so we're in for a pretty dry 2 or 3 weeks ahead, and that should help to ease those drought concerns across most of the KELOLAND area. So,
but that's not to say we won't get some rain.
It's not to say we won't get some rain, but it is saying it looks like we get much less rain than normal because the big rains require the energy, and that's going to be up to our north. So I think things are going to be improving in those flooded areas.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jay. Well, that is all for this week's Inside KELOLAND. You can find out more about today's topics online at KELOLAND.com. Just click on the Inside KELOLAND section. And be sure to join us every Sunday following the 10 o'clock news right here on KELOLAND TV. I'm Don Jorgensen. Thanks for watching.